All right, what's going on, guys? This is Andrew with Andrew Walsh Fitness, and I want to welcome you to my program. This could be for someone right now who has just signed up and is going to be partaking in Andrew Walsh Fitness, or maybe you stumbled upon this and you're interested in learning a little bit more about what I do. I'm going to provide a lot of value today about the human body, kind of how my programs work, but I always like to start with how I got started in Andrew Walsh Fitness. So this is kind of a hard story to tell, but this is me back when I played college football. I was lucky and blessed enough to grow up in Orange County and to get an athletic scholarship to go and play at Cal Poly SLO. And I had a really horrible back injury in my junior year. I was playing running back and I was going to block the guy in front of me, and the running back tripped behind me and clipped my back. And then the safety came over the top and collapsed my spine. So my hips went this way, my back went this way. This pretty much was a debilitating injury. Doctors said I would be lucky if I was able to regain feeling in my left leg again, because I had pretty much fractured all the vertebrae in my spine. You have your L1, L2, L3, right? And in between those are little discs that are cushioned between that bone. I had literally fractured L1 through S1, and all the discs in between pinched off my sciatic nerve. So I would get, phantom leg pains, and I would get, numbness and tingling. And doctors had pretty much told me that was going to be my life. I'd be lucky if I was able to work out again. And, it really was probably the worst day of my life. But looking back on it, it was the best day of my life, because now after that, I realized how fortunate and blessed I was. And I think I had a little bit of an ego, and I wasn't, fully accepting of all the gifts that I have. And then once I was, taken down and found out I couldn't really work out anymore, made me really humble and just want to help people. So I started my fitness journey of my comeback, because I didn't do any surgery. So I did completely natural healing, and it was incredibly painful. But over that time, I started working at a different company called FMS, and I learned some really, really great strategies to counteract back pain. And that just sparked my passion and joy for fitness, because I loved what it started doing for my mind. So that's when I started, kind of getting into personal training, because I wanted to help people who may have experienced something that I had. And I really just had it kind of take off. And I started doing all these beach boot camps for free. And I had a bunch of people starting to come. I had influencers hitting me up on Instagram that they wanted to be a part of these beach workouts. And all of a sudden, something I was just kind of doing for fun really took off, and I started Andrew Walsh Fitness. So from there, I got blessed with the opportunity to go and create workouts and training programs for high schools. This is me giving a speech here at Trabuco Hills High School about movement, nutrition, motivation, and it just really kind of kept growing from there. I even got to work with Southern California Edison to help their workers with, tightening their core. And I even got to work at FMS for the NFL Combine, and just learned from all these great athletes, from all these wonderful people about the human body, the mind, how working out can help, and just some of the best exercises to help you strengthen and turn on muscles that may have been turned off for a long time. So I've definitely been very blessed, and that's why I'm happy to help you out today. I've had clients such as Ashley Flores too. She's another huge Insta famous workout person that I've helped. She was doing all these wonderful and great workouts, but was dealing with a lot of lower back pain. So I was able to really help her out a lot too, so she can keep, sharing her gift and helping out, all of her fitness clients as well. So there is a little bit of fitness, there's a little bit of movement and nutrition that I've been kind of growing and learning as the years have gone on. So I always like, kind of showing some people some testimonials. So here's Colton. He's been one of my top clients, and he saw amazing results. I mean, this kid was so dedicated. He reached out to me. We were buddies in high school, and he really was like, you know what, Andrew, I'm going to go full in. And, you can see his results. This was in 3 months, guys. He was able in just 90 days of doing, my program 4 days a week every month to see just fantastic results. And he wasn't the only one. This is Michelle. I know she was training to be a police officer, and she hit me up. She was doing a lot of cardio, so she needed a lot more personalized workouts, and she needed to get stronger for the police academy boot camp that she was going to be going to. And she really firmed up, built some really strong muscle, and now she's a police officer, and she passed her test. So it was great to get to work with Michelle. And this is Zach. I know Zach, we go back a little bit, and, he really took a lot of advantage of the mental aspect and the motivation that I was able to provide for him through not only text messages, but emails. And he really saw some amazing results as well. And you can see, a lot of these clients, they want the abs, they want the chest, but a lot of it comes once they mentally decide that they're going to go for it. This is Christian as well. I mean, he's probably one of the best progress pictures I've seen. I mean, I couldn't even believe how hard this guy was working. I mean, he's one of the devoted clients that I have, but my goal always was just to help people. Everyone has these goals, and I know with helping you in fitness, I feel like I'm also helping you in life with self-confidence and with business. And it's crazy as even, Christian was telling me, dude, I'm doing so well at work. I didn't even realize it. And he's eating better. And it's just a whole different lifestyle. And you can even see here, he's smiling and laughing. I mean, this dude is just so full of energy now. And I feel like I'm just so thankful to have met him, and that he took advantage and really just listened to what I had to say, and did his workouts and followed the routines. So one thing I always love sharing is going to be about the kinetic chain. So this is just great education for any new clients or anybody who's just listening. The kinetic chain, so this is how our body is made. So if you look at from the ankle, it says mobility underneath, right? So your ankles are supposed to be mobile. You should be able to move your ankle. Your knee is stable. Your knee shouldn't move, right? Your hips are mobile, right? My spine is stable. Your spine shouldn't move. My thoracic spine, which is like my shoulders, is mobile. My neck, stable. So that's how our body goes. From the floor up, it always starts at mobility in the ankles and then stability in the knees, right? A lot of times as a trainer, the most reoccurring injury that I see is going to be a re-injury of the same spot that somebody had hurt before. So let's say like you've pulled or torn your rotator cuff like that. They've done it several times, or they've had an ACL injury several times. So what I learned at FMS is we need to find that weakest link in your chain. What area has been hurt the most? And then we see, where does that stem from? Because a lot of times if it was like here, this weak link in my chain is my shoulder, this is the area that's been hurt. But a lot of times in physical therapy, we'll work to strengthen that shoulder and get it stronger. But then 6 months down the road, a year down the road, it happens again, right? I got this area stronger, but I didn't find out where it was stemming from. And that's kind of what FMS is all about. And this was really crazy. Anybody who knows, this is RG3. So I was able to work with him at the NFL Combine. And here you can see he's doing a broad jump. Look at how he lands. So his knees are bending in. Your knees should not bend in like this. So what that is saying is that his ankles are no longer mobile. They've become stable. So now that up the chain, that tells his knees to become mobile. So anybody, if you ever have an injury, let's say your shoulder or your hips, you always want to look above and below. So if you have a lumbar spine injury, you want to look at your hips or your thoracic spine as to where it could be stemming from. I've even worked with a client who had really bad shoulder pain, and it was stemming all the way from his left ankle. And I'll share that with you guys in a little bit. But essentially, by knowing where your weakest link is, you can start doing exercises in my movement program, which will counteract all of these previous injuries and help strengthen and turn on those ligaments. So RG3 was told, hey, you got to do a lot of ankle exercises so that your knee becomes more stable. Well, he wasn't able to do all of those. And unfortunately, this is what happened to him. He ended up tearing his ACL his rookie season, 10 weeks down, and you can tell that ankle was too stable, which made his knee mobile, which isn't supposed to happen, right? So I love the kinetic chain. You can simply look this up on Google. This is a great way to understand where your body's at. So as I was explaining, you have fascial slings. So this is that story about a guy who had a shoulder injury, but it was actually his right shoulder. It was stemming from his left ankle. So you have a fascial sling that connects from this shoulder to your opposite hip and from this shoulder to your opposite hip. So in like an X. Well, what happened was his shoulder was so tight because his hip was so tight because he had broken his left ankle dirt biking 3 separate times. So his left ankle was so stable that it made his hip stable, right? And then that stable hip ended up pulling on that band here because it was so tight that anytime he went to reach, it was like he had a resistance band pulling on it, and eventually that band snapped and he tore his rotator cuff, right? So in his recovery process, yes, we helped with the shoulder, but we spent most of the time focusing on his hips and on his ankle so that he will get stronger here and reduce the likelihood of that injury happening again, right? So I always say the best stretch you can ever do, because in our culture, we sit so much. We sit at work, we sit in the car, we sit when we get home. Our hip flexor muscle is this big. When we sit, it shortens, right? And then that puts all this pressure on my spine leaning forward. So my back all day is leaning forward like this because my hips are forward and is trying to pull back all day, pull back all day. That's why you see disc slip and people have injuries in their back is from tight hips, and our posture is so forward, so we have tight hips as well. That's where you'll see a lot of shoulder injuries. So hip flexor stretchers are huge, and that's why I will give you a movement program that will cover your full body so that you can really make sure that these issues, you're being really preventative about them. This is one thing I always see with back pain a lot. So in our body, you always hear of the word core, and a lot of times you can have a strong core but still have back injuries. I know for me, when I broke my back, they're like, you need to work core. I'm like, man, I almost have an 8-pack. How much core can I hit? But what happened was I didn't have this muscle called the transverse abdominis turned on, which is otherwise known as the human weight belt. So what this essentially is a weight belt that keeps everything nice and tight around our back all the way into the multifidus. But a lot of us have this turned off because we have been trained to breathe out of our chest because we're always in fight or flight, high stress. And when we're in stressful situations, think of like a fighter like Conor McGregor, your nervous system, you start doing short, shallow breathing out of your chest, and you're not breathing out of your belly, out of your diaphragm, and you lose controlling that diaphragm. So it's like having a weight belt, but you never buckled it. It's just pretty much on. You haven't tightened it. So by training diaphragmatic belly breathing, you're going to help turn on that transverse abdominis. So all day when you're walking around, it's like you have a weight belt on. So pretty much this is it. You just inhale through the nose. And as you do that, your belly pushes out, and then you exhale and control that belly driving in through your spine, and that will turn on your transverse abdominis. And that's a part of my program, is the breathing as well, to make sure your transverse abdominis is turned on. So these are a lot of things that we do before you even start working out, to making sure your body is ready to handle weights or body weight squats, whatever the program that I'm going to be generating for you is. So another client here, Bram, he was just super stoked to switch over. And like I said, I'm writing you custom workouts based off your schedule, your routine. People all work different hours. Sometimes, you're a professional real estate agent, or you have a full-time job. The last thing when you get to the gym or when you need to work out is like, what am I going to do, right? Why not just hire someone like myself? I'll program your workouts for you. You have nothing to think about. Each week is going to be different because it's designed to get you to your goal, so that you literally just open up your phone. Right there in your email is all the workouts with YouTube videos underneath that you can hyperlink if you don't know what the exercise is. Just makes your life a lot simpler. One thing I love talking about too is trigger points. So if you just Google trigger points, you'll see we have these all over our bodies, and these can get really, really tight. So you want to use tissue work, right? So I love this picture of this beaver, right? So I'm going to give you guys an analogy. So beavers love to make beaver dams, right? So that's kind of how our body is, right? So up here on number A is how our body should be, right? All the blood is flowing out to all of our muscles. When we drink water, it's going and being delivered to our whole system. Beaver dam, right, is going to block that water from getting to where it needs to go. Similarly, a trigger point or a knot that we have, so all of a sudden our blood is pumping out, or our heart is pumping out blood to an area, right? But then there's a knot. So only a little bit of blood can get through. So an area will get really dry. And when it's kind of like a sponge, when it's really dry, if I pull it, it can tear, right? Versus if I have no knots and this is getting all the blood, all the water that it needs, it's like a sponge. It's really absorbent. I can twist it, I can pull it, and it won't break, right? So foam rolling and tissue work is so important to keep our body safe and healthy, to increase that fascia and tissue tolerance so that we reduce our chance of tearing muscles. So this is kind of my explanation on that for you. So like I said, foam rolling is huge, going in millimeter increments. So this is another part of my movement program, a full body how-to foam roll, because a lot of our tightest areas are going to be our sciatic and our lats. So just doing tissue work, and then going back into ancient Asian medicine, you're going to be looking at rolling the bottom of the feet. We carry a lot of our stress in our feet. Think about it. We put on socks and then we lace our shoes up and we stand on our feet all day and we walk around everywhere. That's like if I were to put mittens on my hand and then lace my mittens up with a shoe on top of that and walk on my hands all day. You don't think my hands would be really stressful and all the joints would be sore? So that's why I always recommend lacrosse balling the bottom of your foot, help increase the blood flow up through the rest of your body, and a great way to reduce stress. One of these I recommend is getting a Theragun. You can get these on Amazon, so you can work out these knots on your traps, shoulders, chest, so that your body, after you're using all these different ways of breaking up tissue, when you drink water, you're hydrating all these areas. So this is a lot of self-care that you can do from home. It's not realistic to say I'll go to the chiropractor every day, even every week, or that I'm going to get a massage every week. So if you do preventative self-care, you're going to be in really good shape. Like I said, hydration is so key to helping you achieve your goals, because a lot of times too, you may think that you're getting enough water. You probably aren't. I definitely recommend getting a Hydro Flask and a 32 ounce, 40 ounce, and drinking that 3 times a day at least. That will also help you with weight loss as well, and your skin. This is my buddy Leif. I actually know him from real estate, and I know he was pretty on it with his workouts, but he needed a little bit more help with nutrition. So I was able to help Leif out with a lot of his nutrition coaching. And one thing I always tell people is you got to think about food. It's either one thing or the other thing, right? So food is either a nutrient or a toxin, right? It's either a nutrient or a toxin. How I view this is, let's say I look at a bag of chips and there's all these words that I can't describe, or I can barely pronounce them. Odds are that's a chemical, right? So if I put a chemical in my body, my immune system will turn on and be like, oh, okay, we have to rid our body of this chemical. If I eat so much food with chemicals, junk food, really high in sugar, all of a sudden my immune system is going to keep turning on, right? So essentially this is like when your battery, or like when you leave your lights on for your car, right? So if I leave my lights on for my car all night and I go to my car in the morning, my battery's dead, right? Because it was running all night. Same thing. If I'm putting in all these toxins and my immune system keeps on having to turn on and it stays on all the time, I'm going to have a weakened immune system. This will lead to autoimmune disease. I'll get sick more frequently. So it's really important to understand the difference between nutrients and toxins. So like I said, here's your immune system. Our digestive system is huge when it comes to a part of the immune system. So if you want to be healthier, you want to be stronger, you want to be having a stronger mental clarity, it really boils down to nutrition. So the next time you're going to eat something, think about it. Is this a nutrient or is this a toxin? Really want to avoid toxins before we go to bed, because that means while I'm asleep and my immune system is running and cleaning everything, it's on, right? We want our immune system to be able to rest throughout the night. So you want to eat nutrients and healthy foods, or stop your eating around 2 hours before you go to bed. Simple thing to remember. This is just like a little cheat sheet. If you're struggling to understand, is this a nutrient or a toxin? If something came out of a bag, a box, or a bottle that made noise, don't eat it, right? So you can think about like chips, soda. If it once grew out of the ground, eat it. If it once walked on land or swam in water, right? That's something you want to eat as well. I'm looking for things that are one ingredient. Banana. What's the main ingredient in a banana? A banana, right? So you're looking for one ingredient items. These are usually what are going to be nutrients. So one thing I always say too is, like, I'm a fitness trainer, but I follow the 80-20 rule. So I will still eat 80% of my meals clean, but I will still put in the work every single week to where I'm allowed that 20% of, whether it's a cheat meal, it's an In-N-Out burger, or a Krispy Kreme, or I take my wife out for dinner and we have a nice dessert. So, it's not all 100% everything is going to be perfect. Give yourself that wiggle room. But just know in your mind what you're putting into your body. This is just basic education on nutrition. And once you're more conscious about it, it's crazy. You actually are like, actually, I really don't want this. I know what it's going to do to my body. And that versus how good it's going to taste is kind of going to outweigh, if I'm going to eat it or not. So I always say, think before you drink. Take a look at how much sugar is in that drink. You'd be amazed. One of the biggest pandemics that we're in is diabetes. And diabetes is so messed up. But there was a study that they did for food stamps, right? So if you were on a low income family and you were on food stamps, you would get this orange juice. They looked at this orange juice. It had over 80 grams of sugar in 1 cup. 1 cup. And so all these people who are using food stamps drinking this orange juice are getting so much sugar that is leading and causing diabetes. So think before you drink. Look and see how much sugar is actually in this. One simple thing I love doing, my wife and I love doing it because she quit soda once we started dating, and she started realizing how much sugar was in it. She and I got creative, so we just would get a cucumber and lemon and create, cucumber lemon water. You can do jalapenos, different ways to make your water taste better, or just add in some branched chain amino acids that are flavored to kind of give your drink a little bit more. And like I always say, I'm a big person who's anti-dairy, and this is coming from someone who used to drink 2 Costco gallon milks a week, who was all in the milk helps you build strong bones. As a football player, I need to be downing milk. And even after I broke my back, I was drinking milk. Then I realized, when you look at dairy, almost 90% of humans are lactose intolerant by the time they're 30 years old. We build a lactose intolerance as we get older, right? And milk is actually meant, because it's from a cow, for a calf, right? It's not meant for humans, right? It causes so much inflammation within our body. We're not meant to be drinking something that's meant for a baby calf, right? Like when we're born, we drink milk from like our mother, from formula, right? That would be foolish to have a newborn and be like, oh my gosh, yeah, here, drink milk from a cow. That doesn't make sense. So I'm a huge person, anti-dairy, what it does for inflammation, how it irritates your skin, and really kind of is a toxin that keeps your immune system running all day and all night. So like I said, hydration is huge. Anywhere from 60 to 72% of our body is water. So the minute you wake up after sleeping, you always want to down at least a glass of water, right? Because when you're asleep, you're not getting any water. That immediately will help you fill up your brain, because your brain is 83% water, right? So if I didn't get any water for 8 hours of sleep, how low is the water in my brain, right? So drinking that water first thing in the morning is going to help you to feel refreshed and alert. And also a little trick for you guys, I'm going to be talking about some hacks for you. One is going to be about water. One is going to be about eating with your opposite hand. So studies have shown a lot of people, if you've ever heard this saying, put the fork down, right? That's actually stems from something. It actually means like after each bite, put your fork down, because that actually will make you eat. It will take you longer to eat your food. And by it taking you longer, it actually takes your stomach 15 minutes to recognize it's full. So if I just guzzle food down and then after, 5 minutes I ate, I'm like, man, I'm still starving. I overeat, right? But if I eat with my opposite hand, it's a lot more difficult. I'm not able to get food in my mouth as easily. It takes longer, right? That and putting the fork down is actually ways to help you slow down your eating. Another trick, I've been using this after I found this in precision nutrition course when I took it, is using smaller plates. So let's say I'm trying to do portion control, but I'm using my normal big plates and I see this little bit of food that I have, right? I'm like, man, in my mind, I'm like, man, this really isn't a lot of food. But if I use a small plate and it's covered in food, my mind is like, wow, I'm actually getting a bunch of food, when really it's the same portion, just on a smaller plate. And, talking about that hydration example, is one thing that you can do. If I go back here a slide, is if the next time you're hungry, drink a glass of water, 16 ounces, just down it, right? Because we have a signal that will go to our brain that says, hey, I'm dehydrated, right? I need water. But a lot of times we hear that grumbling in our stomach and we go, oh, I'm hungry. So we eat. And then after we eat, we're like, man, I'm still hungry. You weren't hungry. You were just dehydrated. So my way to kind of prevent this overeating or eating for no purpose, drink water whenever you feel like you're hungry. After you drink the water and you feel like after 10 minutes, you're not hungry anymore, great, you were dehydrated. If you're still hungry, okay, then you were hungry, go ahead and eat, right? Little tricks that will help you out. And in my YouTube channel, I talk about stomach vacuuming. This stems from Arnold Schwarzenegger. If you look at his torso in this picture, it's totally concaved in. This is a great way to help reduce lower body fat around the belly button and right above the pelvic region. A lot of that, fat that you can see down there, you can actually reduce that fast with 3 sets of belly breathing. And I have a great YouTube video on how to do that. This is Trent here. So he's another great client that, was kind enough to leave me a review. And like I said, guys, I'm just here to help out. I just want to give you this free education and knowledge and really try and build the perfect program for you. Guys, one of the big things that I usually try to do is help you build strong shoulders and core, right? You can be as skinny as can be, but if you have nice, rounded, and well-defined shoulders, your physique looks bigger and you naturally are going to look a lot you'll have the broader shoulders, and we can help taper in your waist, right? So I'll do a lot of work with the shoulders. Women, I'm huge with mini bands. And for men, one of the biggest things that we have in America, we sit so much that our glutes don't fire. So by using these mini bands, it activates your glutes. So that takes a lot of pressure off your lower back. And, like I said, I'm big into the mindset. You can see on my YouTube channel, I'm huge on the subconscious mind. Did you know the first 20 minutes when you wake up, your brain wavelengths are operating at such a high level because you're almost in and out of dream state when you first wake up, that whatever you put in your mind in the first 20 minutes affects the entire spirit of your day. Isn't that crazy? So if I wake up, I hit the snooze a couple times, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 8 o'clock. I'm running late. I have to be work at 9. I'm showering. I'm scrambled that whole day. I'm rushing. I'm scrambled. Everything's going crazy. So for me, I wake up at 5. So that gives me plenty of time to get my mind right, to meditate, to do breathing exercises, to pray, so that the whole rest of the day, my mind, I won the morning, I won the day, my mind is calm, I'm ready to help people, I'm ready to be patient and kind and loving. And these are just some tips that I want to offer to help you not only on your fitness journey, but in your mental health, in your nutrition, and in your life. Because if you can really start applying these, you'll see not only your business take off, but your relationships. And, you're just going to attract that energy that more people want to be around. So how this all works is essentially here, you get 4 workouts a week. I send them to you every Sunday. Below every workout exercise, we'll have a YouTube video on how to do it. So if you have any questions or you want to refer a friend or learn more, just email me here, and I'm excited to be working with you with Andrew Walsh Fitness. I know we're going to accomplish some really great things together. So just thank you for taking time to listen to this. And I just want to say God bless, and I'm looking forward to working with you.